Alrighty, there we go. Hour number 2 live from beautiful Hialeah Park. We just finished with Larry Little, of course, the Hall of Famer. Now we're going to go to a future Hall of Famer in Marcel Jacques, right? There we go. There we go. How you feeling, my man, with our Edge energy drink Miami Dolphins report? As you can see, a new billboard, a new look for Edge. And we are going to be serving Edge to all of the folks out there at Walk-Ons on Saturday when we're doing the Canes and the Duke broadcast. We'll be doing our pre- and post-game show. We've got giveaways from Perdomo Cigars, giveaways from Caneswear, and giveaways from Edge Energy Drink. So come on out there and try the finest energy drink on the planet. How you doing, Marcel? You doing all right, my friend? Oh, do we have him? Up.
Said I'm feeling the new billboard, man. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. This is cool, man. All right, got the little Dolphins colors too. Insiders report. All right.
There we go. Right. There we go.
Get us coming up, man.
Yeah, baby. We'll things change, life changes, so we got to adjust with it. All right, so good news for Dolphin fans today, right? You guys were freaking out with Teron Armstead actually practicing. Holy crap!
Yeah, Teron Armstead practiced today. I assume it's going to be a limited or described as a limited practice. We only get to watch the first. They say 20. It's a little liberal. That's a little liberal, but the fact that he's on the field is a positive sign. I fully expected him to not practice like the rest of the year, for that to be his new normal. If that's how you have to mitigate his pain and that's how you have to control his injury, then that's how you just got to do it, man. Because that's your leader on the offensive line. We just saw how bad it gets without him.
Yes,
we just saw it. It ain't pretty. So if that's what it takes, then I think they would have been all for it. Mike McDaniel said earlier this week that he trusts Teron Armstead as much as any player he's ever been around. So, I mean, that speaks to the level of preparation and leadership that guy shows off the field. But it's a good sign. He called the injury unique. He didn't exactly say that he's going to play Sunday. I would expect him to, though.
Yeah, if he practiced. Yeah. The fact that he practiced was huge as it is, even limited, because normally he doesn't do anything. So that's got to tell you that there's a little progress there. So I'm sure he's going to play. Now, on the other side, you guys have yet to see Austin Jackson out there. So it's Thursday. If you don't practice on Thursday, that's when I get a little – and especially you haven't practiced – you haven't even played in so long. I don't think there's a shot that Austin's playing.
No, I would go ahead and – I mean, the window is open, and that's positive. Especially when you look at, a situation like Byron Jones where the window is not. But I think that they're slow playing it here. They do need him back, but they need him back healthy. It's still at a part of the season where they can get some games back. Losing these past two was hard on the big season outlook. But, I think especially if TJ Watt is not playing, the Steelers are not as scary. I would argue that they're not scary at all on defense. So I think it's a situation where they can afford to let him sit for another week, throw Brandon Shell in at right tackle. Between him and Greg Little, I am more inclined to put Shell there. Greg Little has been statistically worse than Liam Eichenberg has been this year.
Oh my God.
But in terms of pass block win rate, I tweeted out the lineman rankings earlier today. But I don't think you should expect to see Austin Jackson quite yet. Like you said, you got to get up to game speed, got to get those live reps in practice. And the fact that he's not on the field doesn't necessarily bode well for that. I haven't even seen Austin in the locker room. And that's kind of weird. I mean, it's how it works in there. We get a 45-minute window before or after practice, and they're usually, all over the place. But I have not seen Austin Jackson in a little bit. I would expect him to sit for another week.
Yeah, and when we talk about, I was going to ask you about the Shell one, because I've been more impressed with Shell than Greg Little, and that's what I thought would happen. When I saw that Armstead's coming back, I'm thinking they're going to put Shell on right tackle because he's actually been more impressive. Not that it's that impressive, but he's been better than Greg Little. So I would go with Shell on that side, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to at this point, especially, Tua's first game back. You would like to think that Tua's not going to try to do too much and keep plays alive and overexert himself, but you would like to protect him as much as possible here in this first game back, especially with a guy like Flores on the other sideline, who has been in the Pittsburgh's defense's ear all week with Tua's tendencies, what he does well, what he doesn't do well, how to get him off platform, how to get him off this game. It's not a situation that you really want to play with. I'd say, sit Little, let him be that reserve swing tackle, put Brandon Shell there at right tackle with Armstead at left.
What do you think about Robert Jones at left guard? Because I've kind of seen enough of Liam Eichenberg. I think I was just talking with Larry Little right now. He might know a little bit about offensive line play. He agrees with me. He's a tackle, not a guard. And by the way, plenty of my scouts that I've talked to from the get-go have said he's a right tackle, not a guard. But they continue that experiment. That's been a really bad experiment. Robert Jones should be the next guy in line because Dieter probably is going to back up Connor if anything happens to Connor. So if that's the case, why aren't we seeing Robert Jones, bro? What is Liam Eichenberg doing that's convincing them that he should be the starter every week? I'm confused.
There's always something going on behind the scenes. I tend to defer to coaches in this scenario. They see these guys every day. They see them in the meeting room. They see them in the weight room. They see them in practice when we're kicked out. If they are going to say, look, Liam is a better decision at left guard than Dieter or Jones, I am inclined to believe them. I don't agree from what I have seen, but I am not around them as often as the coaches. None of us are around them as much as these coaches are. And that's not to say that these guys can't make mistakes there. The staff can't make mistakes, but their job's on the line a little more than ours is. Their job and a lot of money is on the line too. I don't think I would want to mess around with it if I'm not playing with my money. If I see somebody is a hindrance to it. So it kind of makes you think, what are they not seeing from Michael Dieter or Robert Jones to make a move at left guard? Because it's week 7. It's week 7 now. It's not all right, you got to ramp up. Okay, you got to warm up. He's been practicing at left guard all summer, all spring. I gave him a pass last year. He's a rookie. He played 4 different offensive line spots. I think everything except for center.
And crappy coaching. So, I'm with you. I gave him a break last year. I'm with you.
Just give him a break. We haven't seen the improvement this year. And it's particularly on, those stunts and those twists are, as Jeff C says down here, destroying them. And it's generally coming right there at the left guard. He's not processing it. He's not picking it up. And that, I think that part of the reason for putting him at left guard is to accelerate that learning curve next to Teron Armstead, next to a intelligent offensive lineman like Teron Armstead. You would think that, by osmosis, if nothing else, that you would figure out, how to break down a defensive line, how to see certain things coming and how to react and respond from there. But we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. And it does, again, it begs the question, if in week 7, if there hasn't been a change, when will it come?
Yeah, no, and I'm wondering how bad is Robert Jones that he can't convince you to at least try him. That's kind of odd that would be the case, but I just have not been satisfied with Eichenberg whatsoever, and maybe now with Armstead back, you can hide him a little bit between him and Connor, but either way, I would try at least Robert Jones, but all right, we're going to defer to them. All right, so quarterback talked yesterday. Obviously, my dumbass. By the way, I was going to the press conference. So you know what I ended up doing? Muscle memory, bro. I drove to Davie. I'm getting off on University Drive, and I'm going, dude, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And I look, and I go, wait a minute. I'm all the way in Davie. What am I doing?
Mm. It's a
Yeah,
bad one to miss, man. It was
you
a
know
big
what?
one to miss.
I didn't pick up the prizes from Canesware the day before when I was there to give them away on Saturday at our Hurricanes broadcast at Walk On. So yeah, I stopped right there at Canesware and I got something done, and then I wasn't able to make it there, but I wanted to make it there to ask him that question about getting rid of the football. I saw Daniel Oyefusi from the Herald was the guy that ended up asking him that question about letting it go and what he had learned. So I know he kind of told us what we all want to hear, but so far, I think I've played it for you. The video of him as a high schooler talking about his dad, how he gets pissed at him for not throwing away the ball and taking on hits. Saban already pointed that out a few years ago heading into the draft. And now it's continued to happen to him. And so I'm wondering, after hearing him, is it something that we can't believe until we actually see it? Is he going to
Yeah.
leave that warrior-like mentality of, I got to try to save it, I got to try to save it, I got to try to save it? Is he going to let that ship sail finally?
Sometimes it takes a major event to change your change your mind, change your
The hip wasn't a major event, dude. His entire career was in the balance.
Sometimes it takes two. I don't know, man. But I don't believe it until I see it. I will believe that to throw the ball away when I see you throw the ball away. It's something that he got better at throughout the year last year, but obviously it's still not, I guess it's still not, to the level it needs to be. And, it's a mix between, he missed the read when he was hurt against the Bengals. He missed the read. If I remember correctly, Waddle was open on the other side of the field.
Yes.
But to be honest, it's easy to say he held onto the ball too long in hindsight there. But I was more surprised that he was wrapped up in that play. Like I thought he should have been. I thought it was a player he should have easily been able to sidestep.
He's like Baker Mayfield. He can't outrun drunk cops.
It was like it was almost like he was too casual in trying to try to sidestep him and trying to break away from him. Like he underestimated how strong, how fast this guy was on the other side of the ball. But he did admit, I mean, that's half the battle, right? He did admit, look, throwing the ball away is not something I've done well in the past. I need to know when to say die here. I need to know when to concede. Mike McDaniel, I'm sure, has tried to drill it in his head as much as possible, but like you can only tell guys so much. You can only do so much. You can't throw the ball away for them. And it's not, it's not a cut and dry, one size fit all formula. Like every play, there's not something to look for in every single play where it's like, okay, like it's not worth trying to, it's not worth trying to extend the play. It's not worth trying to do X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? Like it's situational. Like you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to take context clues in every one of these situations. So it's a hard thing to coach besides telling them, dude, do you want to go back to the hospital?
Right.
Throw the ball away. We'll be fine. Like we will be fine. The first 3 weeks of the season, the Dolphins led the NFL in points per drive. They led the NFL 2.8 points per drive. That would still, at that rate, that would still be number one in the NFL right now, above Kansas City and above Buffalo. They'll put up points. You know what I mean? That guy number 10 will get you somewhere down the field. 17 will get you down the field. 31 will get you down the field. You don't have to be a hero anymore. So it's you would hope to see. I don't want to make it sound like this was a good thing for him, but like you would hope that this entire situation would change his line of thinking and change the, I guess, the willingness, his willingness to extend a play or his willingness to keep something going. You would hope it would make him, quicker to say, okay, next. Tried. It's not there. Next.
I'm going to run something by you because sometimes, well, not sometimes, a shitload of narratives have been built around this kid that have been all false narratives. And very few people have been on target with this kid. Well, he doesn't have an arm. Yes, he does. He's too short. Doesn't really matter. He's lazy. No, he's not. Whatever. All kinds of these narratives. The other narrative or the other story that's out there And maybe this is also a false narrative. And I'm starting to feel that this is a false narrative. You know, Tua doesn't listen to anything. He doesn't have any social media. He doesn't watch anything. He doesn't read anything. Well, you know, I keep watching a kid that keeps trying to prove the world wrong. And half the world, or 70% of the world, is constantly telling him, your arm is a noodle arm, you're too short, you can't do it, you can't take tough coaching, you don't work hard enough, you play too much golf, you know, all of these things. And I almost feel like this is a kid that's constantly got that in his mind, and that's been the ultimate demon to him, that he's fighting all of the people that are the naysayers. And in the process, he's putting himself at risk. Instead of playing the game the way it should be played, he's going to extremes because he's actually trying to quiet the critics on a consistent basis. Those critics that people say he doesn't listen to, that he doesn't pay attention to, I kind of think he does now, because there's too many of these instances going on, and there's too much bullshit about him going on, whether it's writing, on radio, on TV. And I think that that is one of those motivating factors that he puts himself at risk on a consistent basis. Your thoughts on that?
I don't think that he outwardly pays attention to things that are said about him. Like, it's one of the rare instances where I feel like, you know, when a guy says, you know, I don't read any of that, like, I actually believe him. I think he is made aware of it on his way to talk to us,
right,
because it's PR's job.
I was expecting the butts. All right, go ahead.
It's PR's job to tell him, to prepare him for what he might be asked. Like, hey, just FYI, this is what the streets are saying about you. This is what you might be asked about, this, that, and third. But he does know, like, he is aware.
I got to feel Nick says it to him, his trainer. I got to feel Tyreek says it to him, you know, but not in a way of like what you think, but like a Tyreek thing, like, yeah, man, let's go prove these people wrong that they say you can't do it. And, you know, like Tyreek's doing it in a motivational way, but it's still being processed. It's still being mentioned. It's still being put in the subconscious. You know what I'm saying?
But Tua said himself this summer, like, you know,
go ahead.
He said himself this summer, it's kind of hard to play in the NFL when you don't have the arm, or it's kind of hard to play in the NFL if you can't throw the ball. So, like, he knows what's said about him. But as far as, you know, I don't know how much trying to prove people wrong motivates him here. I think he just wants to play football, man. Like, I think he wants to play football. I think you know, that work is fun for him right now. That McDaniels, the environment has, you know, it's made it fun for him right now. I think that he gets along with his teammates. And I just heard him in the locker room today. Like, I think that he gets along great with his teammates now, or at least well enough to win games. There's little reason not to believe that, you know, with him under center. I know he said, you know, he's not the savior. Yeah, you kind of are. Yeah, you kind of are. You kind of are.
Yes. Yeah, he may not want that label and all that, but they're just look at the results. You're not in the game, they can't score points. You know, it's like I hear people, oh, well, the Dolphins got to learn how to score points. No, dude, the Dolphins got to get Tua back and get a couple of linemen back, and they'll be scoring all the points you need. Didn't you watch the first couple of weeks? I mean, it's just like I don't know what people are thinking sometimes. There's a reason why the offense isn't as sharp the last couple of weeks. That's because your best quarterback isn't playing right now. So, yeah, he is the savior. There is no doubt in my mind he's the savior.
And it's not, you know, and and we'll never know at this point, because, you know, we'll never know how Teddy would have looked against the Jets there after a week of practice and prep. I know that Skyler looked better against the Vikings after a week of prep than Teddy did in reserve, and then that Skyler and then he himself did in reserve against New York. So, like, it's hard because, yeah, quarterback is to blame here, but, like, Skyler and Teddy should have been more serviceable if they actually played the games they were preparing to play. You know what I mean? Like, I think they would have been a little better. At the very least, I think I think Skyler would have put up, you know, I think he would have led them to a pretty easy win against Minnesota.
All right, we won't talk to you till post game late Sunday night. What are your thoughts?
Woo!
What happens
late Sunday night, man? We're gonna get that 2 a.m. talk in, that 1:30 a.m. talk in.
We
want to hear me talk at 2 a.m.? That's crazy to me.
We get the job done how we have to get the job done, bro. That's just the way that's the way the world rolls, man. That's it. We're here to work.
I will say,
by the way, I will always tell people that work with us in this business, remember, we get paid to do this shit. So we're blessed. I remember there was an old writer. He's no longer with us. And I was a young guy on the beat. It was like my first 10 years in the beat. And I would, every time we would run into this guy and we'd have to wait, Heat or Marlins or Dolphins or whatever we were at, he was always a sack of complaints, and I hate people that complain about our business constantly. Like, if you're constantly miserable, then dude, get the hell out or leave us alone, because you're working in sports, brother. Okay. You could be laying asphalt. You could be a police officer. There's a lot of jobs that are way worse than what we do for a living, brother. So
I've done worse. I've had to do, I've done sales, before I got into journalism, and I thought sales was the worst job I've ever had in my life. I hated it. 100 calls a day, however many hours of talk time, being told no, get a job, get a life, go to college, all of this. I hated that. It's funny, like yesterday I did TV all day yesterday, and call time was at like I think I was there 10:45 to 6 something, 6:30, 6:45. It was like it was an 8-hour day. I was beat by the end of it, and I'm like, man, I feel like I've been here all day. And I did the math. I was like, oh, that was just an 8-hour day. Like, that's what an 8-hour work day is. This is what y'all do. Yeah, no, like, I got no complaints about this job. I love the job. It is exhausting during the season. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
It is annoying when people think that they could talk to you crazy. Just because, for example, yesterday, man, I don't usually put a lot of stock into it, but I was just tired enough that it bugged me a little. I said on our 6 p.m. show that Tua is coming back to a situation that's similar to the one he came back to last year. He misses 3 games. Team's on a losing streak. I asked him in the press conference, what did that teach you about not pressing and overdoing it when you get back? Similar situations, right? Like, I think they're comparable.
Yeah.
This kid heard me say
a little less pressure now because you have more help. You have help.
Less pressure now, but same basic
talent department.
That's why I said similar, not one of one or one-to-one. Similar.
Amen.
Yeah. This man sends me this voice memo on Instagram, calling me a name that I will not repeat, that we do not say anymore in 2022. Called me like, did you really just compare a concussion to a rib injury? Would you? It's like, dude, you listened to 3 words of that, yelled at your TV so you couldn't hear the rest, then found me on Instagram to say that, like, and then like he's calling me all outside my name and then goes, you're probably a cool ass dude, man. Like, I'd probably grab a beer with you or a dinner or something. It's like, if you saw me in person, I'd probably slap the shit out of you, bro. Like, no, you wouldn't. So like that part gets annoying because like you think it's easy to say like just ignore it, but like it's every day and it's hundreds of times a month. Like, it's hard to always ignore. But and then I don't particularly love primetime games. I like the atmosphere. It's the I know. It's the, by the end of it, you're just like kind of like
been there,
crawling to the finish there. But like, let's get it right. If that's a bad day at work, I think your job's okay.
So they win.
Yeah.
Back on the winning track. You got to beat the Steelers, right?
You have to beat the Steelers, even though for some reason, somehow Kenny Pickett is a full participant at practice right now. I don't think anybody should be upset. I know everybody, the knee jerk is to be mad. Like, why doesn't the same rule apply to Teddy as it does Kenny? You want Kenny Pickett playing. You want to play Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, yes. But that's not what they're talking about.
He wants to play Kenny Pickett.
No, what they wanted was Teddy Bridgewater against the Jets. That's what they wanted. That's what they're pissed at, Marcel. It's not.
I know.
They don't fear. No one fears Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky. It's the principle is what they're mad about. Has nothing to do with any of that. And
it's
typical of the NFL who is incredibly inconsistent with everything that they do.
It is something that none of us understand either. Just like we don't really understand why the NFL did not give a statement about the spotter. Alan Sills made a comment to Jonathan Jones the other day. It seems like what they did is they stalled until it's like,
it dies
really
out.
The story anymore,
right?
Does this really even matter anymore? And no, it doesn't. Like, because if we got a statement about what the spotter saw for Teddy, what does it change? They're gonna let them play the game over again? No, like, it doesn't change anything. So like, there's no choice but to move forward.
The league knows it's Teflon and they can get away with anything.
Hey, but listen,
we're still gonna watch.
It's the same NFL. It's the same NFL that some of y'all were ready to believe wholeheartedly when they said the Dolphins didn't do anything wrong. Protocol was followed. Everything is kosher. Like, it's the same NFL that y'all won't believe. I try to tell you, you got to take everything they say with a grain of salt.
Well, I mean, everything that went on there was a big farce, like I said from the get-go. Everything. The NFL, the concussions, the protocols, everything is just show. That's all it was. All they did was feed the lynch mob. And now that it dies out like everything else does in life, it's a news cycle, and you just give it some time. It dies out, and you move on to the next story, and the media moves on to the next story. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, though, because they don't usually – the NFL doesn't typically bend to public will, to public opinion.
There's no media that's going to hold their feet to the fire, my brother.
Well, it's not that there's no media that will.
No, there's
no media that can.
ESPN's not going to stand up to the NFL because they're in bed with the NFL. So they're not going to do that because then the NFL would hold it against them.
Even if ESPN did, what difference would it make? So let's say ESPN pulls out of Monday Night Football. And I want to be careful because I don't speak for my company here. Let's get that disclosure. But let's just say ESPN pulls out of Monday Night Football. And then what else do we have a Saturday slate? I don't know.
No,
but let's just say they pull out of Monday Night Football.
But it's part of access all over the country for all ESPN stations, TV, everything. So it's not just that. They can start holding it against for other things.
But my point is that there's no media outlet in the world can make a quantifiable dent into the NFL's stranglehold over America. That's why I'm saying it's not that nobody will hold them accountable. It's that nobody can hold them to the highest level of accountability.
That's
so like we can criticize, and we do criticize the NFL ad nauseum, but like as I think, everybody who said that they were swearing off the league after Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, after players were kneeling, that they swore, we're never watching again. This is garbage. This is this and that. And the NFL put out Wilt Chamberlain numbers.
Yeah.
They said, never mind.
I laughed at all those people that said, I'm not going to watch again because it's a joke. It's like, you're not going to make a dent and you're going to be watching again. It's a joke. We tolerate everything that they do. They get away with anything and everything that they want, and they know they're going to get away with it. It's the way it is.
And look, and again, I love my job, man. I cover a game for a living. I cover a game for a living. I talk about a game for a living. It's amazing. Like I've worked my ass off to get here, but I love that. That does not mean that I can't criticize, that I don't find fault in the league that I cover. There's plenty to be critical of. There's plenty to be skeptical of. And I guess I can leave it at that.
Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ and catch him twice a week. You're doing his thing with our Edge Energy Drink Miami Dolphins report. Marcel, as always, thank you, my brother. We'll talk post-game on Sunday night.
Yeah, man. Coffee in hand.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Don't forget, folks, Saturday we're at Walk-Ons in Kendall, and we will be serving up a little Edge Energy Drink, baby. Yes, sir. So we'll have the Edge Energy Drink young lady out there serving some Edge so you can try it and mix it in with a little vodka. We're going to be giving away prizes from Caneswear. We're going to be giving away prizes from Perdomo Cigars. So we got all kinds of giveaways. So while you're watching, why watch the Canes and Duke game just at your house? Come on over to Walk-Ons. You might win some prizes. We can hang out, talk sports, all that good stuff. Sean will be there, myself, Mike McCoy. We'll get you ready with the pre and the post-game show. And in between, every quarter, we give out prizes over at Walk-Ons. So come on out there, 162nd, right off of Kendall Drive, which is 88th. All you do is get off on Kendall Drive in the Turnpike, go west about 10 minutes, and you're there, man. It's a beautiful thing. That is. And by the way, you can go to myedgedrink.com so you can get the finest energy drink on the planet. Support the great people that support our show, our platform. myedgedrink.com. Use the code Big O and get 10% off. 78 calories, delicious, smooth, and zero aftertaste. I can't say it enough. Once you drink it yourself, you will freak out. Delicious, smooth, and zero aftertaste. Edge Energy Drink.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.